You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars and by Wellington Anti-Aging. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
It's going to be a fun day here, getting into the weekend with nothing but football, man.
Oh, I love it.
Dang.
Every weekend now until next year.
That's it. It's wall to wall. There's no room for anything else, Diener.
No.
It's football, baby. Got some big stuff going on here. High school action, college action we'll have to get to. And kick it off with the Dolphins. John Evanson, CBS 12, jumping in here with us real early.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, bud?
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to all this football this week. I mean, I have to be at work, and I have to cover it, and I don't get to drink a beer, but, it's just as exciting for me.
Well, I mean, technically you could drink the beer. You just you just have to not get caught. That's all.
Look at you, Diener.
I will be doing that.
Yeah, look at you.
I got a mean streak sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, they talk about these games here for the Dolphins, and you don't want to start off sluggish if you're the Dolphins because they've got 3 very winnable games coming out of the chute that you don't want to fall at 0-1. You definitely don't want to go 0-3, especially if you're going to try to make the playoffs with the back end of the schedule that the Dolphins have got. You start off Sunday. Yeah, you start off Sunday. You got the Tennessee Titans at home, 1 o'clock. A lot of people think this is a winnable game, John. Do you agree?
Well, it's such a mystery. I mean, let's think about it. We again, we're going into the season, and even the experts upon experts, obviously it's easy to be down on the Dolphins and say, oh, there's so many things wrong with them, but it really is an absolute mystery how this team is going to be. I mean, we know Ryan Tannehill is healthy, but all preseason it's been, who knows why they're running these plays right now. The O-line is still getting to know one another. Tanny's not out there for that long. We haven't even seen Frank Gore hardly in the preseason at all, and he's going to be the guy who's going to be hopefully giving the running game a big boost, which is going to be so important for the offense. And then, of course, Marcus Mariota took a step back last year, and they've got this whole new offense that they're looking forward to unveil. So call me crazy. I have a positive vibe heading into week 1. But then again, how many times have we been fooled before? It's been a perfect microcosm this week, though. Even if you have some positivity, all of a sudden, Marquise Gray, their starting tight end, out of the mix. He's been lost now, torn Achilles.
Oh,
so it's Mike
gosh,
time right here.
Wow.
We're depending on a rookie.
Well, how do you feel about Gesicki? Because it seemed like he was going to be a mix anyway, probably at least in the red zone. Now, does that put a lot more pressure on him before he's ready, or do you think that it's not really that big of a loss because Gesicki's going to be fine in there?
Well, of course, now he's going to be expected to take the starter-like role along with Derby, and I think for a guy like Gesicki, just from talking to him down there and just seeing the confidence that he has, I think this is actually might be a blessing in disguise to just throw him right into the fire. We all know he has that height. He can jump up, and he prides himself on, being the only guy who can jump that high and snag those balls in the end zone. Blocking is something he's still going to have to work on. Run blocking has looked better in practice, but it's a good sign when a lot of the defenders who we talk to at practice are really hyped up about this guy. They're throwing out. How great can this guy be type stuff. So if the teammates who you're going against are saying stuff like that about a rookie, no less, that probably bodes well. But we'll have to see. I think that, but him getting all this action right away, why not? Might as well be that for a guy like him because he is going to be something special eventually, I think.
How do you feel about the matchups with some of the players you got here? When you're talking possibly the running back situation and who the Dolphins have going up against what Tennessee has. You've got Kenyon Drake, you got Frank Gore, and on the other side you've got Derrick Henry, and they also going to be running the old Patriots running back Dion Lewis.
Right.
Who do you feel like's got the better running back tandem?
Well, I think with again, it's hard to say without seeing Gore, but we all know what Gore brings.
Yeah,
we know what type of leadership he brings as well. And Kenny Drake is really wanting to prove himself this year, and I think that he's shown great signs in the preseason. But having Gore out there first and foremost, I think gives the Dolphins the big advantage if the offensive line is able to help create those holes. I think Gore is going to be the big difference maker here. He's got magic feet. I mean, Tannehill is blown away by him, and from speaking to the other running backs as well, they're learning so much from him. So I think, again, game one, it's a mystery. It could be a dud. It could be a 200-yard rushing game. But I'm really intrigued to see what this running game is going to look like with Frank Gore getting the action that we want to see him getting. We just haven't seen him much in the preseason, so it's guesswork here. But I'm guessing the Dolphins will have the edge on that front.
Okay, let's look at the quarterback position here. Talking with John Evison from CBS 12, breaking down the Dolphins going into Sunday. Tannehill, it was a big difference, and I saw a really telling number about the turnovers that the Dolphins had increased in the passing game last year. When Tannehill was healthy in 2016, it was 11. It doubled last year for the Dolphins. So if you're looking at Tannehill versus Marcus Mariota, how are you feeling with this? Who do you think's got the edge in that department?
The Dolphins, the ball hawks on the Dolphins are just, I think they must be salivating for some of those picks that we saw last year from Mariota. Still trying to figure out this new offense. Of course, there's going to be a learning curve in week one, right? So, the Xavier Howards and all those guys are dreaming of getting that ball into their hands. I think that they have an advantage as far. We've seen how talented they are reading those plays. Mm-hmm. So, week one will be a good week to try to take advantage of that with Mariota and those guys still figuring out the offense. And I don't know, Tannehill, did he have a cigarette in his mouth last year?
Probably.
I can't remember. That might have been part of it. He might have been exhaling and smoke might have been flying. And then
you're right.
But I don't think Tannehill smokes, so that'll be one advantage right there.
So advantage over the guy, who's not down there with the Marlboro Red in his mouth. Okay. That's
have you seen that reality show? I've seen clips from it.
It got renewed for a second season, so he's doing something right. He's actually he's a lot better as a reality star than he is an NFL quarterback. I'll tell you that.
I feel so lucky that whenever I've seen the clips, it's always been with the volume down. I just haven't been able to, and it just looks like the same scene every time. He's just got that look on his face, and his wife is, I take it his wife is yelling at him about something. It looks like terrible TV.
Could you imagine having to put up with Jay Cutler every day of your life? My gosh.
And they're always hanging in the kitchen. I don't understand the show.
It's weird. Mm-hmm. It's strange.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. When you're looking at the defense, how concerned are you with the Dolphins right now? I mean, they've got pretty much Akeem Spence is really your only experienced defensive tackle. You've got two guys there at linebacker that, Jerome Baker is a rookie. Raekwon McMillan's looked lost at times. And you just got that fear that the Dolphins could give up those massive runs right up the middle. How much does that fear you if you're a Dolphins fan?
Oh, how could it not? How could you not be scared of that? I mean, we've experienced it so much over the years, and we saw some big plays that just haunting big plays that stick out in the preseason as well. The press conference they say after. I mean, these are things that we're working through, we're testing out. The preseason doesn't mean anything. This is good that this stuff is happening now. Mm-hmm. We can figure. Let's just hope. I mean, you can't trust it 100% as a Dolphins fan because it's kind of the thing that concerns me a little bit is with the Dolphins in general, though, is just the fact that there are these older proven great players with a lot of pressure on them, and then the second place pressure is probably on these rookies like Gesicki and Mika Fitzpatrick, who are rookies, and they want them to play a little bit beyond their years.
Yeah,
and it's not as much depending on the in between as it is the young and the old, and that freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, the Dolphins are a weird mix in that they've got the 26th oldest roster in the league, an average age of 26.7, but they've got 4 starters who haven't even played an NFL down. So
yeah, I know. it's wild. And then I like the psychological advantage they got this week by picking up Luke Falk just to mess with the Titans a little bit.
Yeah. Did you see Gase's response on that, John? By the way, he's kind of downplaying it. Oh, he's a rookie. He didn't really know too much of what was going on anyway.
Yeah, but the Titans, come on, they can't be totally sure what that rookie might have picked up, and what it's just a slight psychological edge. And I like to think that they just did it to mess with the Titans. They'll release him after the game.
I was going to say, Monday morning, he's going to get released.
One and done. You actually see him walking up the turnpike after the game. I don't know what happened, man. It's just crazy.
At halftime.
Crazy. Is there any other X factor that you're looking at here with this game that maybe we haven't talked about from the big things? And I don't know if this even plays, and I assume that the grounds crew's got it down, but you've got a Hurricane game there on Saturday.
True.
You turn around, you got a following game. Is that any kind of factor to the run game or anything that might happen that gives either team an advantage, or are we just looking at great turf that's going to be happening at Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday?
Yeah, we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen that terrible turf. We've tuned in at 1 o'clock on a Sunday and said, what the heck is going on my HD TV with this? You can see every detail of horribleness, and you're right. That I forgot all about that. That could be a factor as far as the running game goes, and even on special teams, you have Jeremy Grant, and they picked up that kid. What's his name? Brandon Bolden.
Yeah.
Who wants to prove himself as a kick returner as well. So those type of things. I don't know if it'll be the deciding. As big of a problem. I think that they've hopefully learned from the past, because this was a problem a few times last year. But time will tell. We've seen crazier things as Dolphin fans, right?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the truth.
All right, we'll see what happens. Kickoff Sunday just after 1 o'clock, Hard Rock Stadium. John Evanson, CBS 12. Thanks for checking in.
And on CBS 12, you can watch it if you don't head down there, right?
That's
nice.
right. Yeah, it's a lot cooler that way. You don't have to sit in that hot spot. That's another thing they haven't figured out either. The poor people, in fact, from what I could tell, the people that spend the most money on the tickets are sitting in the hottest seats.
It's true, because the shade isn't coming over those lower level seats.
Right. Yeah. So you're actually
Kind of
better off
ironic.
to buy some of the cheaper seats. You buy the expensive ones. You actually sit in the hot box. I don't know if they figured that out yet.
Yeah. It is. If you haven't been down to the new stadium, it is truly amazing. You'll get a feel for it. But a lot of it is shaded, and we don't get the game on our airwaves this week. But I want to make sure everyone tunes into Finn's Final.
Okay.
At 11:15 on Sunday night. We'll have it all broken down. We'll be down there. We'll talk to the players afterwards. We'll have every nook and cranny covered, and then we'll get the CBS game back in the saddle next week.
There you go, with a completely sober John Evanson giving you a report.
100% sober.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Enjoy the football.
Yes.
All right, man. Got a lot more stuff coming up. Going to hit on your big high school games on the way. And, of course, we got to take a little look at college coming up next.
Yep, he's here, too. It's Kevin's Other Show, right here on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, last week, so many great games in college to talk about. Several of them involving some Florida teams, like your Canes had a big one against LSU.
Didn't end well, but on paper it was a huge game before it started.
Didn't go well for a lot of Florida teams, of course, except for UCF, who
right, be
just
careful.
did amazing.
We don't need any more hate
Just
mail
did
from
amazing. Yes, they
those
went
Knights
and
fans.
crushed a great UConn team on the road. Florida State also not getting the outcome they wanted, so we're going to regroup, see what happens this week. Cover all the Florida games coming up here in just a second to check out. Some of the ones that are going to be going on this weekend, though, really the only two that are of really true value, I think. You got Clemson going to Texas A&M.
That's a huge one.
See exactly what Jimbo Fisher is going to be offering up.
I mean, again, on paper, this is a huge one.
It is. I don't think a lot of people, some of the people are saying that have been there and checked out Texas A&M say, yeah, they look like they're flying around the ball a lot more. They look to be playing with more intensity, and the recruiting shouldn't have been awful. I don't know if it's to the level they want to take on Clemson, who's just bringing a bunch of hosses in there.
Yeah, they're sick.
12.5-point difference, right, with Clemson on the road?
It's a lot more, honestly, than I thought it was going to be. I was surprised when I did see that line. I believe it opened up around in that area somewhere, and now it's at 12. So Clemson on the road, minus 12 in a night game at the 12th man. You got those people swaying, making you nauseous in the crowd.
It feels, you know what? It feels right.
Does it feel?
Yeah, it does.
That's a lot of points, though. I mean, I know we spoke to Gene Deckerhoff yesterday, FSU play-by-play guy. And of course, he has a history with Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
And what did he say? He said he sent him a good luck note, I think he said.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
It's going to be a tough one, man. And, but can Clemson win that game by 12 points? Honestly,
yeah.
The way I look at this now, and I know Clemson's a beast. I know.
Yeah.
But they had that game on the road last year against Syracuse where they weren't a beast.
No,
so
sure,
they've
but
been known to falter here and there.
They did have a banged-up quarterback.
Yeah.
And they did not have a good second string. That's not the case right now.
They have so many guys on defense.
They've got,
good.
in fact, the only problem they really have right now is you just don't even know which quarterback to start. So
they're all too good.
Their only problem is they're just both good now.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Some of the other games to take a look at other than Clemson, Texas A&M. Pretty big SEC East matchup with Georgia going to South Carolina.
I like that one.
Well, yeah, I don't give Muschamp, I don't give a lot of credit to.
No?
I saw what he did at Florida. I just why is everybody's like, oh, South Carolina? I don't know. Why is South Carolina going to be different than what he did in Gainesville?
They are kind of like the hot team this year to pick. Where everybody's
they're
saying
right
South
now
Carolina.
they're a sexy you sound like you're in the know if you're going for Gamecocks early right now.
And they did cover on Saturday against who was it? Was it Charleston Southern? I think they played, or Coastal Carolina.
That's
it was one of
impressive.
those. Yeah,
Come
it was
on,
one of
man.
those.
Come on, man.
Well, they were 30-point favorites. I mean,
Come on,
still,
man.
30
Come on,
points.
man. They're playing Georgia. They're
Georgia's-
playing Georgia.
Yeah, they're a pretty good team.
Georgia's going to bring the lumber. They got Georgia by 10 right now at South Carolina.
Wow.
That's 3 points just for being, the away team. So basically, if it were in Athens, it'd be 13. So it's 10. I think Georgia's going to. I think you're going to check yourself. I think South Carolina is going to be dismissed
Really?
after this weekend.
Okay.
I do. I love Georgia. Solid running game. Great quarterback play. Good defense.
So no credit at all to Will Muschamp. You're not buying into the South Carolina hype.
I don't, man. I don't. And, I haven't seen enough from Florida yet, but I saw a Florida team, and granted, they were playing a high school team last week, but they were having fun. They didn't have fun with the last coach, man. They did not have fun. They were having fun. They were dancing around. There was some swagger to that offense. They're putting up some points. Hadn't seen that for a while. They're still not going to get a test this week either. Florida's got Kentucky, and I saw something that was very telling. The last time Kentucky beat Florida, Crocodile Dundee was in theaters.
I can't believe that.
That's how far back you got to go. They got Florida by 14.
Yeah.
That's a game in Gainesville, 7:30 on the SEC network.
Why can't Kentucky ever be good? I mean, they were. I think they had a couple of good years some time ago with Jared Lorenzen when he was the quarterback.
Yeah, you know what? I would say they're improved. We'll have to see what they do. I think the last couple of years, they've kind of been trending up a little bit. I would almost call them dangerous. In fact, I actually like Kentucky to cover that. If they're given 14.
I was going to say, it seems like a lot. I mean, isn't Florida, they're still kind of an unknown.
I like Florida, but not that much.
Yeah.
I'm right now, I'm kind of, Kentucky they've played Florida tight the last couple of years. Now, they haven't won, but they played them tight the last couple of years.
There was that game last year. Remember that? I
Yeah.
think it was when they had the countdown before the season started, the top 25 games of 2017. And that game against Florida was in the top 10.
Yeah.
Because that was where Kentucky was winning.
I know.
They had their shot, Kev. Crocodile Dundee.
They've had some shots. I don't think they're going to do it, but I think they're going to cover on the 14. The other big game you got this week, you got Stanford that is going to be playing USC. Going to be playing that at Stanford. So they got Stanford by 6 in that. USC freshman quarterback. Still got some good skill players, but, what have you seen from either team? Stanford was a little bit iffy last week.
Yeah.
I think they had, was it San Diego State that they struggled with for the first half?
Yeah, I believe that was the Friday night game.
It was, yeah.
Right?
Pac-12 but this is a big game. Pac-12 is playing their biggest games early. Yeah, Washington State losing close last week to Auburn. Not great for the conference. I don't know how much this is going to tell you, but, I mean, this is a big game, Stanford and USC.
You know what? It's funny with USC, man. They lose Sam Darnold. They lost some talent. This, to me, is one of the easier lines. Because, and I know you might think that's crazy because Stanford has gone up actually from 4 to now -6. So I think there's some people who are thinking along my lines here of saying, why would you not take Stanford in this game? Because now it's increased from 4 to 6.
Heisman Trophy running back, or at least candidate. Heisman Trophy candidate running back in Love. It looks good.
I mean, who does USC have? I mean, unless they're hiding these guys and we don't really know. I just feel like USC's in for a down year this season, and Stanford should. They have the talent. Every year people are like, oh, Stanford has the talent. Maybe they're a dark horse for the playoff. This is one of those teams where they should be toward the top of the Pac-12.
USC always has studs. USC has studs. But, I put Clay Helton in the same box as I put Muschamp. Guys that just don't. You give them good players. I'm not impressed with either one of those coaches.
Yeah.
They just seem both mediocre at best. And so, you give Clay Helton at USC a stacked roster, I just don't think he's going to do much with it. Yeah, he's definitely going to be out coached in that game.
And we can actually stay up and watch this one. It's 8:30 Eastern Time start.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a 10:30
Good idea for them to
start.
start scheduling those games a little bit if they want to pick up a couple more Heismans.
I'm telling you, man, people on the East Coast need to see the Pac-12 football.
You got a Heisman Trophy candidate in there. Let him play earlier.
That's right.
Well, you got the Canes going up against Savannah State. It's going to be a 6 p.m. game, ACC, and also you can, of course, hear it right here, 640, the Hurricane.
Yes.
Got some big questions. What's going to go on? What you can expect is you can expect Malik Rozier to run the ball less. He ran it 16 times for 47 yards against LSU, and Mark Richt is saying that's too much. He wants a little bit more of a workload with Travis Homer and DJ Dallas. Homer had 7 rushes, a lot less than your quarterback. Dallas had 8. So combined, you had less rushes with your 2 tailbacks than you did your quarterback.
I'm literally scratching my head right now. I mean, that is a head scratcher.
That's an appetite for disaster, and Rick sees that and says, we can't have that again.
You think?
You got to fix that. Amon Richards ain't playing. He's out.
Yeah.
Defensive end Demetrius Jackson is out as well. Didn't say for how long. It looks like a bone bruise, knee, both those guys. Don't know what the timetable is going to be on that.
But again, no reason to rush them back. I mean, look, you're playing Savannah State. You need to get back on track. The Hurricanes have plenty of talent at wide receiver. Sorry to say for Amon Richards, but he needs to step it up because you have Harley there, you have Jeff Thomas, you have a lot of guys who have Hightower, the freshman who caught that touchdown, probably the only good pass Rozier threw on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Watch out, Amon Richards. Like, you need to really start hunkering down here because there's a lot of talent on that receiver corps.
Got Sanford going to Florida State, 7:20. That is going to be on the ACC network, and you also catch it on our sister station on the radio, WFTL.
That's right, 8:50.
Yeah. Probably the best game for any Florida team this weekend. Georgia Tech is going to be playing at USF. That's a noon game on ABC. Georgia Tech, a 3.5-point favorite in that.
That is a good one.
That's a solid game. That's a statement game right there for USF.
Yeah,
Anytime
Charlie
you get a win
Strong.
on those guys. Yeah.
Trying to get it done against Paul Johnson in that triple option.
It's tough. Triple option coming to FAU Saturday, too. 2 p.m. game. They got FAU as 9.5-point favorites.
I was shocked when I saw that.
I was kind of surprised, too. I mean, it really was a bad game at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of positive stuff to hang your hat on.
I mean, Air Force, as far as I remember, is not a terrible team. So
if they get going, they're one of those teams you never know.
Strange.
It looks like Chris Robinson's going to get the nod. He's taken pretty much all the first-team snaps for FAU. We'll see what winds up happening with that. He went 15 for 26 for 157 against Oklahoma, but he did go 5 for 5 for 51 late in the third quarter, right before they yanked him.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. South Carolina State is playing at UCF.
Don't forget about that.
6 p.m. game on ESPN3. And FIU is traveling to Old Dominion.
Oh.
They're a 1-point favorite.
How bad is that for FIU? Come on, Butch. What are you doing, buddy?
ODU, you're a 1-point favorite.
That is bad.
Butch Davis, this ain't the Canes years, my brother.
Another college football Saturday on the way, man.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Got some big matchups in Palm Beach County high school football. Coach K is going to be on with us to cover them next.
Yep, he's here too. It's Kevin's Other Show, right here on 640 The Hurricane.
We've already had some really massively big high school football games so far this year. I mean, is it just everything's front-loaded in the schedules? I mean, last week you had Atlantic taking down Dwyer, and I mean, to me, that probably was the game of the year. So do we have anything to look forward to in the back end? I mean, what's going on? Are we playing all the good games early?
No, it's insane. It really is.
We got Coach K, Chris Coquel, joining us here today, our resident high school football expert. Hello, Coach.
How's it going, Kevin? I was listening to what you guys are talking about, and what it is they get these games early because the district schedules are all later in the season. So those games mean a lot, and the only games that coaches really have control of are these early games.
Okay, so after
sense.
that, then if they want to schedule themselves, because, when I was talking to the Dwyer coaches, they were like, yeah, our first 4 games are nasty games, but that's by design. We want to come right out of the chute, have these power pack games, see where we are, see what's happening, get our guys used to good competition, and then go into our regular district schedule. So I guess there was a strategy with that. And we talked about this a little bit last week. Coach, Dwyer now at 1-1. You don't think that's too devastating for their state championship football hopes?
I don't. I think, again, a lot of it has to do with Gio Richardson, their quarterback, going from smaller school football, whereas much of a powerhouse Knoxbridge was. It's a different level than when you come into the 8As and the 9As and the 7As of the world, those bigger schools. He's got to get caught up to speed, and you got dogs like that Atlantic has on that D-line coming at him. He hasn't seen players like that. I think once he settles in and the game all slows down for him, I still think Dwyer has so many weapons, and they're just so deep that they still have a shot.
Would you say Dwyer or Atlantic is more unpredictable so far?
I don't know. That's a tough question because, I mean, Dwyer, I kind of expected the early lumps just because their quarterback joined the team a week before their first game, so you can kind of see it coming. And again, they always pack that schedule. Atlantic, I'm just not sure who they are yet because they haven't looked that great early on in the season where you thought, I know they won, but you weren't thinking like, wow, they're world beaters. But now last week, you're like, okay, if they can beat Dwyer that handedly, what does that mean they're going to do to everybody else? I think this game against Pahokee will really tell us who Atlantic is.
Yeah, well, the thing that I don't get, and am I reading too much into the preseason loss that Atlantic took where they got pounded at home to Miami Central?
And I think that's what I fell victim to also because they do that a lot of times in the preseason. They're always a slow-starting team for whatever reason. It seems like their kickoff classics don't go their way. And I think we might be reading too much into what is technically really just a preseason game.
What do you see with Atlantic traveling to Pahokee tonight?
Gosh, that's a good game.
Yeah, you got Atlantic and Pahokee tonight, and then you also have Dwyer at Glade Central. So you get like these powerhouses from the, I don't know if you want to
good
call
time
it
to be in the
Eastern
muck,
Coast,
right? The muck's where it's at tonight, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think Atlantic and Dwyer, I think they're both going to come out with victories because I think the bigger schools, it's just harder for those smaller schools to play against big-time powerhouses like Atlantic and Dwyer.
Hey, Chris, is it my imagination or is Glade Central not the same they used to be? Because I remember coming up, and again, it's 20 years ago when I'm thinking about it is, but Glade Central used to be that powerhouse. Like you could count on them winning everything every year. Is my imagination or is that really not the case anymore with them?
Well, what happens is, you know how the transferring game has started happening.
Yeah.
You look at some of the rosters on Palm Beach Central and Wellington and, some of those Western teams. Some of those kids are actually really from the Muck area, and I think that's what's happening where you add 5 kids to a 3A school. That's a huge difference. So if they lose those 5 starters, that's a big-time difference between being a really good team and a state title team.
What do you think about with Wellington? They were ranked 10th in the county last week, and then they go to Vero Beach for a fun little game where they get pounded by 40-plus and don't even put a point on the board. Who is Wellington?
Be careful. I put in our predictions, which you can find at 640 The Hurricane. I also tweeted out at Real Coach K. Some shameless plugs in there.
There you go.
That they got manhandled by Vero, and Coach Abel was sending me text messages at 5 this morning when he read the article. So he's trying to say that that's not what happened. That's not who they are. They just happened to play their worst game against their best opponent, and he said, watch this week. And Park Vista's a good team. Park Vista's always well coached with Coach Dodds, one of the better coaches in Palm Beach County, who Wellington faces. I think Wellington's going to be too powerful for him, and I think we'll start to see Wellington start to roll. I think we might have put them a little bit too high for where they are, but I still think they're one of the better teams in the area.
What is the team we're not talking enough about? We seem to talk about the same teams over and over again, but is there somebody that we're ignoring a little bit? I know Palm Beach Central, they get a good bit of publicity, but maybe even somebody aside from them. Is there somebody we're sleeping on so far in the season?
I'm going to go the 2 smaller schools. If you look at Kings Academy, they just put up points left and right each week. Last year, they ran the table almost the entire season into the playoffs. And then you look at Benjamin. They have probably one of the best quarterbacks in the area. And I always say is Marucci, the young kid, he's only a 10th grader, and he's that good already with Kyer Elam there.
Yeah.
And they added a couple pieces when Oxbridge folded. Those two teams, Benjamin and Kings Academy, they're two of the better teams in our area. I could see them both going undefeated until they play each other on October 26th.
Well, is it too early to say that a team has been overrated and we gave them too much credit?
I think it's too early. Teams are still figuring out who they are, what they want to do, what their true system is. I mean, I've seen teams completely change their identity at the bye week. A lot of these teams have a week 3, week 4 bye week, and after that, that's when we start to see really who they are. And again, district play starts next week. That's when we'll really see when the games truly, truly count.
Okay. Well, some good stuff there. I saw, was it you and Diener tied in your high school picks last week? Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, but let's not forget overall who's at the top. Okay,
all right.
Come on.
Okay,
sure
I saw him like my boy Diener in the high school pick went up against Coach K and actually tied him. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, we'll see where we're at after this week. I'll check back in with you guys on Monday, and we'll see who's talking then.
I appreciate that shout out because that was look. It's not easy for me. Normally, college is more my thing, and I still lose a lot on that. So high school for me, I know enough to be able to make the picks. So I have to say, Chris, that just being able to tie you is a victory for me at this point. So watch out, because now I'm gaining confidence.
Stop my trash talking if that's what you're going for.
Hey, there was a team that I've kind of noticed, and I was wondering if this was going to be one of the teams you were coming up with for your sleeper, and you did not. So I just want to ask you real quick what you thought about the Gardens team, Palm Beach Gardens, the Gators.
That's a good one. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around Gardens being a sleeper, even though they were 3-7 or whatever their record was last year. It's still Palm Beach Gardens, so sleeper doesn't pop into my head.
Okay, all right. So, but you think they're a solid team this year? A lot better than 3-7, right?
Yeah, that Studstill kid, David Studstill. I have to get confused because I know his dad and his older brother went to Notre Dame.
Right.
He's that dynamic, and when you have that kind of athlete at quarterback, you can win any game.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we gave a little bit of love to Gardens Gators. I see them doing some good stuff, so we're very well aware. If you want to catch all the high school action, you got the full wrap-up. Happens every single Saturday morning here, 10 a.m., 640 The Hurricane. His name is Coach Coquel. Chris, thanks for coming on with us, bud.
No problem. Appreciate a couple minutes, guys.
All right.
Okay. Well, we got a lot more football to talk, man. We got a big football weekend going on. We got to touch on what's happening a little bit south of us, too, with Broward and Dave. We'll get to that coming up.
Stop. No. Kevin's Other Show.
The KVJ.
Don't tell those other guys. 640 The Hurricane.
Looking at some Friday Night Light action. A little bit south of Palm Beach County this week. A couple of big games. St. Thomas Aquinas is going to be taking on Flanagan. You got Deerfield Beach and American Heritage. That is a solid little matchup.
Hello.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's going to be a fun one to watch. You got Deerfield Beach themselves. Deerfield Beach has got Westlake in Atlanta.
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's
my
still
goodness.
Pretty big.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah.
I thought we fast-forwarded to the playoffs here for a second.
Like, wait, hold on now. Like, that can't be. Yes. American Heritage has got Miramar this week.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah. And you've got a couple other big matchups going to be happening as well. But they've got the AP top 10 out for Florida high school football. Taking a look at some of the South Florida schools and where they rank out here. They got Deerfield Beach, number 1 for Class 8A.
That makes sense.
Number 16 team in the country.
Are they really that high in the country?
Yeah, they
I didn't
are.
know that.
Yeah, I mean, South Florida's got some teams here. They've got Atlantic, number 2, 8A.
Wow.
2-0 right now, even after getting pounded against Miami Central in that preseason game.
Right.
Vero Beach, kind of surprised that they're only at number 6 on
Really?
this. Yeah. Number 6. Number 77 in the nation. This is a team that pounded Wellington last week. They've already beaten last year's 7A champ.
Yeah. I mean, are people just not convinced? I mean, I know that's the big thing with Vero Beach right now. People are saying, well, we'll believe it when we see it more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. They've shown me a couple of things to start the season.
I thought so, too. I would have thought that Vero Beach would be higher than, number 6 in 8A. But we'll see what that wind up doing. They've got Miami Southridge at number 7, and then Palm Beach Central, even at 1-1, is ranked number 9, Class 8A. So they're still in the top 10 in the state.
I'm really looking forward to when we start to get into the divisional play with some of these teams because that's going to be fun, man. I mean, it's great that we start off the season now with these matchups like the Dwyer and Atlantic and matchups like that. But to see when they start playing division, like when Deerfield Beach starts playing the division, I mean, it's just that big game feel every week.
Well, the one that I can't wait to see is the Aquinas Deerfield Beach.
Oh.
That is just right around the corner. That's coming up here in a couple weeks.
Oh, I kind of want to go to that game. Like that's.
If you're going to go to a game, yeah, I mean, I think that is really the one that you might want to go check out if you're a South Florida high school fan. I mean, you're talking about the number 1 team in 8A in Deerfield Beach, number 16 in the country, going to be taking on the number 1 team in 7A, St. Thomas Aquinas, that's ranked 4th in the country. I mean, that's a matchup of the number 4 and number 16 team in the nation.
In the nation, yeah.
2 state-ranked number 1s.
Right.
Realistically will be when they face off.
When is this game?
It's a couple weeks away.
Wow. This I feel like this should be on national television. Like put it on ESPN2 or something.
Yeah, I mean, that is the kind of game that you definitely want to check out.
That's going to be good stuff. Maybe Roger Harriet will come back on with us before that one. That is.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they've got Flanagan.
In Division 3, they always win the national
Down
championships.
Union out of Ohio, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
how many, yeah. It would be interesting.
They have like a college preparatory team there.
Well, it is. You know, Steve Walsh, who, former Canes
Sure.
quarterback, he used to run the football program there at IMG.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. He didn't coach them, but he ran the entire football operation
okay.
that was there at IMG. And when he was there, I asked him, I'm like, so how do you find your players? Like, what do you do? Where do you get these guys? I mean, are they submitting to you, or do you send out letters to them? And he said, we pull out the Rivals book, and we look at the top 75, and we send letters right out to every single one of them.
That's a pretty good strategy.
That's how you recruit for that school at IMG. So you're looking at the top 75 at every single position, and you just send them a letter, and you take the people that can come in and make it happen. And there you go. That's the number 1 team in the nation.
Man, that's impressive.
Florida team. Yeah, I mean, it is just crazy. I mean, when you go down the list, Dwyer's still holding in there. They're number 7 in Class 7A.
And they have
They're
Glade
1-1.
Central.
Yeah, they got
tonight,
Glade
right?
Central. Yeah, Glade Central is going to be going on tonight for them. So we'll see what happens. I would think Dwyer would rebound and should be able to take care of business on that.
You would think I would remember that offhand. We just spoke to Coach K about it. So
Yeah.
I believe I chose Dwyer in that game. By the way, I'm going to catch Coach K in those standings. I know we were just talking about we tied last week, but he's still beating me overall.
Yeah.
Be careful, man. I'm gaining some the big Mo's on my side.
A couple other teams to pay attention to. Miami Carroll City is number 1 in 6A. They're number 83 in the nation. And that's a team that's beaten the number 1 5A team, Plantation American Heritage, who's 99 in the country.
So we have a lot of good teams in Florida.
I mean, honestly, it's ridiculous. I saw this. Florida has the highest percentage of our high school football players being recruited by a D1 school.
Man.
And it's not even close. And you look, oddly enough, at like some other states like Texas and California. Florida far and away is number 1. Georgia was number 2 on that. I mean, you talk about and again, it's the highest percentage. So, yeah, I mean, Texas and California is still great because they crank out so many. But it just goes to show you, of all the players, we have the highest quality per capita, per team, than any other state in the entire country. And it's not even close.
It's really incredible. And we have had that for a long time, too. I mean, you go back to the Howard Schnellenberger days at the University of Miami, where they coined a phrase, recruiting the state of Miami. And they drew that boundary between the Tri-County area. It's been like this for over 30 years now.
Well, it's just crazy when you look down the state of Florida even. I mean, just in what South Florida is. Class 8A, number 1 team in Deerfield Beach. Class 7A, number 1 team St. Thomas Aquinas. Class 6A, number 1 team Miami Carroll City. Class 5A, number 1 team Plantation American Heritage.
They're
Class 4A, University School. Class 2A, Champagnat Catholic.
Yeah.
So of the 8 divisions that you got here, I'm sorry, and you've got also Pahokee, well, they're number 2. But of all the 8 divisions, 6 of the 8 number 1 teams are South Florida schools.
Amazing.
In the state of Florida.
Out of all of the schools in Florida,
So Florida is the number 1 in the country, but you want to get a perspective on just how great South Florida is, even in
Yeah.
relation to the rest of Florida.
It's a good point.
6 of 8 divisions, we have the number 1 team in high school football in South Florida of the best state of the entire country. That's how great. That
good
is
point.
how great
Yeah.
our football is in South Florida. And that's why, honestly, if you're high school games, it's unbelievable. If you're not paying attention to it, you're a football fan. How dare you?
There's a reason why they show Florida high school football on national television, and you put it pretty plainly there.
And they don't show it enough.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they don't show it enough. You're right. 2 games that should be nationally televised. St. Thomas Aquinas back to back.
yeah, especially against Deerfield. Like it's gonna be a good
It's
game.
unbelievable what they're going to have in back-to-back weeks. So, yeah, just kind of like to give you a little bit of a heads up, a couple things to check out.
Yeah.
So, again, a quick reminder, we just had him on last segment, but you got Coach K. He's going to be doing his high school football breakdown for Palm Beach and Treasure Coast. You can catch that tomorrow morning right here on 640 The Hurricane. That's going to be airing at 10 a.m. They also put up the audio on our website, too, so you can go check that out, 640thehurricane.com. Check out our Twitter. It is Kevin's Other Show. We're on YouTube as well. And, hey, if you want to get the conversation going, too, got something to say, leave a little message for broadcast. That number is 561-616-4622. It's a 561 number, 616-4622. Leave us a message for Kevin's Other Show.
You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach. A world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.